Hey, what's going on? You're now tuned in to PVD Horror Gaming Podcast. I'm Brandon, and today I have a special guest. We have,
Mark Estes, y'all.
yeah, man. Today we're going to be talking about just one of our favorite survival horror game franchises, and that will be none other than Resident Evil. So we're just going to dip in between like the whole legacy of the franchise, even like touch on some of the movies. So for everybody that's out there that hasn't played this game yet or heard about it, I think you should definitely check it out. Mark, what was your first experience like, playing a Resident Evil game?
Bruh. This when my when okay, long story. We had a game system that was stolen from us. It was a Sega
Mm,
Genesis. Anyway, long story short, my parents was like, ain't buying y'all no goddamn with game systems and stuff. And I'm like, man, so I don't know what happened where they changed their mind, but they decided to get us a PlayStation.
mm,
And Resident Evil was that game that I always wanted to play. I used to always see the commercial and everything, and was like, I wonder how that's gonna play out. So
mm.
my parents decided to, this is around the time when they still thought my ass believed in Santa Claus. I'm like, no. So they bought the greatest hit version of Resident Evil. The
Mm,
one that had the green slip cover and everything with the
hmm.
zombie looking at, so. I got the Joker, and I knew they had it. I knew it was in the closet. Like, keep in mind that we already had a PlayStation, but we didn't have Resident Evil. So
Mm.
my brother, Gay, came up and he was very crafty. He somehow got into the thing that kept our air quote Christmas stuff in it
Yep.
and got the game out. And he showed me a way to open up the game without the parents knowing that the game was open.
Yep.
Now we have different moms. So his ass was like, yo, I'm gonna take this game home and play it tonight and bring it back. I'm like, yo, you gonna play my game first. Anyway, so he went home and played the game. And my brother was a hardcore gamer, very hardcore gamer.
Yep.
He came back the next day with the game and he was like, yeah, I'm not playing this shit no more. And I'm like, why is it bad? He's like, nah, it just, you probably want to wait until Christmas, bro, before you get this game because your ass gonna tell on yourself that you playing this game. So, and
Mm.
he wasn't bullshitting. I sat there and played Resident Evil, and thank God we had saved. What were them things called?
The
Save
memory
cards.
cards. Yeah, memory
Yeah, the
cards.
memory cards. Oh
Yep.
my! I used to fuck up that damn memory card because I used to
Hmm.
have to always save every time I beat a big battle. But Resident Evil terrified the fuck out of me, especially when you get their first zombie encounter.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, that just I knew then I was gonna be a fan. But it got to the point where I played both with Chris and Jill
Mm.
so well that I started playing the game in speed mode with headsets on. Like I would listen to like some music as I'm playing the game because you
Okay.
already know what's going around the corner and shit like that.
Hmm.
Then they fucked up and took me to a thrift shop. Now keep in mind when I got my Resident Evil game, Resident Evil 2 was already on the way.
Okay.
And but my parents took me to a thrift shop and I came across Resident Evil 2, the two disc
Yeah.
version. And I'm not trying to go jump ahead though, but I got home excited because I got the game for all of $5. I'm like, oh shit,
That's not
I got a
bad.
two disc game for $5. Yeah. Then I
Hmm.
found out why it was $5, Brandon. They only had one disc in that damn bitch, and I
All
didn't
right.
know it.
Yep.
So I only
Which one was it
played
though?
that. It was the Leon
Oh, okay.
disc with you know what? No, that's a lie. It was a Claire disc with
Mm.
the Leon B game.
Okay.
And I was pissed off. But yeah, so let's just say that I would sit there and that would be the game I would ask for anytime they came out a new version, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil
Hmm.
3. So yeah, that was those and then Code Veronica came out. I'll get into that later on though. That was a whole
Yeah.
nother thing though. But yeah, just
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, for me, my first experience for with Resident Evil, the first franchise, was because I had remember I had gotten the PlayStation 1 day
Mhm.
one, and so you just had that demo disc that came with it,
Yeah.
and it was like soccer games and everything like that. And so my brother had come home, him and my mom had went to the store, and it was my older brother at the time. He had this game, and I'm sitting there looking at him like, what is that? I'm looking at the cover because it's the original one, that long
Yeah.
one. So it's like the dude with the gun, and he's like backs against the wall, and you see the spiders. I'm like, what's that? And he's like, don't you worry about it. I'm about to show you. I'm like, all right, puts it in because I'm like, shit, because I'm like, we were just fucking with the demo disc and whatever other game came out. And then so I'm sitting there thinking like, I'm sitting
Oh,
there watching them play. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, what's this? The little clip comes on, they get into the mansion, walking down the hall, and then he goes into that back room, like you said, that experience with that first zombie. Like you're sitting there, you walk in there, and when that head turned, when he was sitting there in the body, I'm just like, yo, what the fuck? I ran out the room. He's like, yo, what is this? I'm just like, all right. And then we went back into it, and it was just like, it was a wrap from there, man. It was like, ever since then, Resident Evil's been one of my favorite franchises of all time, and they're still
yeah,
going, and it's crazy. And that was 96 when that one came
yeah,
out, so.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and then just from there, like, this franchise is just built on everything. They have new films out, and
yeah.
then, we got that documentary about like the George Romero, how he was supposed to make
Hmm.
the first movie. And then so I'm just sitting there just like, damn, but seeing everything how it crossed over, how did you feel about like the first film? Like when it first was the trailer was first released, what was your thoughts? And then when you had gone into watching that film, like what did you leave thinking?
Bruh. We had
Hmm.
dial-up back then. So when that trailer hit, you had to sit there and just like watch that mug
Hmm.
every like 3 sec, every like a minute. It just sucks you in. And
Hmm.
before we came on, remember I told you that our theater burned down. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, I'm about to wait till like this shit come out on VHS because my parents did not fuck with going to the theater, especially when it came to horror movies. They're like, look, if you ain't got nobody to take your ass over to go see we had to go to the next city over to see the movie.
Yep.
And they were like, if you ain't got nobody to sit there and watch them, take you see that movie, then you fucked. You gotta wait till it
Hmm.
come out on VHS. And I'm like, man. But then one of my boys in school, but keep in mind this before the shit hit VHS.
Hmm.
One of my boys in school, brother was the I want to say he was the what would they call him?
The Usher.
No, the bootlegger.
Oh, okay,
So
bootleg. Okay. Yep.
my boy came home to school. He came to school like I want to say 2 weeks after the movie came out. He was like, "Hey, Mark, I heard you like Resident Evil." I'm like, "Yo, what's up?" She was like, "I have it." He pulled out the VHS. I'm like, "Man, they no damn Resident Evil on it. That shit just came out of theaters." He's like, "No, my brother got a copy of it. I promise you, it's Resident Evil." He
Hmm.
gave it to me, Brandon. I took this shit home, put the tape in, and realized it was Resident Evil, the movie,
Hmm.
and I was excited as hell. But I had to turn the TV all the way up to the max setting to hear everything that was saying.
Yep.
So I was locked in. And granted, I didn't like the way that they introduced because I'm thinking like how they gonna incorporate like the green herb and
Yeah.
all the firepower, the firepower and everything. You saw the trailers like, well, they kind of changing shit up. It's not really in a mansion. It's like in a science lab or something. And I was sold. Let's just say that I mean, if you ever seen the movie yet, I don't know what to say, but spoilers for those that seen the movie yet. But when the movie ended and you realize that Alice is like in Raccoon City and shit has popped off and she reaches into the police car and then she
Yep.
cocks this shotgun, I was like, oh my God, yes, yes,
Yep.
yes. But it was one, but see, I didn't have nobody to really just discuss that type of stuff with
Yeah, at that
aside of my
time.
brother. Right, aside of my
Hmm.
brother, but he wasn't a big horror fan. But I was hooked in, because we didn't have a lot to go by back then. Like we didn't have we couldn't really complain about, oh, it's not directly like the game and this
Yeah.
and that, so but I was a fan. I know some people hate those movies. I personally am a fan of the first three though.
Yeah, the first three.
Yeah, the first three. But
Yeah.
what was your like how did you get like wrapped up in the movie? Were you excited or?
When I first seen that it was coming out, when heard it was coming out, I was like, shit, like, hey, this is some of my favorite games because this was at the time, what, 2002, and then so you look at it, the first game released in 96, the
Mm-hmm.
second game was 98, and the third one was 1999. So, at those points in time, like we had a few games under our belt, so it's not like it was just like, oh, just his right after the first one.
Right.
So for me, going into it, I'm like, I was kind of let down because just the story in those games, were just like so great. You know what I mean? Like the
Mm-hmm.
storytelling in those games, and then so you move it into a film and you're kind of let down. But no matter what, at the end of the day, that's what we're always gonna get because those games have over 18 hours of gameplay, and
Yeah.
you have to fit all that into an hour and 25 minutes or whatever they're gonna do. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're never gonna get it, and that's why we're still having these problems today
Oh God,
with
yes.
films that are coming from books or anything else. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
you're never gonna get that backstory, unless you're gonna get something like HBO, like The Last of Us did, that's gonna give you an hour episode. So I think that's definitely what Resident Evil needs, but we'll see because dude from that did Weapons, he's doing the Resident Evil movie. So that's gonna be coming out soon in was it
Yeah.
2026? So.
I think did you see the reports that he said that the game he was not going to follow the storylines of
Mm,
any of the games. It was just going to be like I think an original story set maybe during the first or second game. I forget which one it was, but
yeah.
I was trying to figure out how that would play out because I wonder if they're trying to like avoid upsetting the
The,
fans of the games
yeah.
by because you're not going to be able to satisfy everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you've seen Weapons already though, right?
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
the dude that's the crackhead, he's
right.
gonna be playing like Leon in the film, you know what I
Oh,
mean? So I'm
oh,
like, when
okay,
I first seen that, I was like, all right, cool. Or it might not be Leon, but I know he's gonna be the main character.
right.
But if you look at him, he has that Leon look to him, you
He
know? So
does.
so I could see him with shorter hair and kind of have that set up. So I think that'll be cool, you know what I mean? Because even the last Resident Evil movie that we had gotten was kind of close, but then it kind of fell short. But
Man, be honest with you, that's one of the things. That's one of the blind spots. Because I remember when that
hmm
movie came out, and everybody's like, "Oh, you gonna go see that?" I was like, "Probably," And then I started working a new gig,
hmm
and the time that I go to work, usually I go to a Thursday night preview of a movie and then be done. That way I can get everything out the way. But I couldn't get off that weekend and go see that movie, and it just. I looked up, brand next thing I know was on digital. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, like, and people who saw it was like they didn't like it, and some people said they liked it, but a lot of people said it was closer
yeah.
to the original game, and I was like, okay, cool. Um, out of the well, now nine with the upcoming ninth game, which one
hmm
is the one that you always go back to?
Shit. Uh, I think for some reason it's always two,
Mm,
but even though like, so might as well just get right into part two now,
yeah.
because that, like I said, that released in '98. So part two for me, when that came out, with the controls and every beating the first one. Actually, hold on. How long did it take you to complete the first game?
Oh, good question. If I can recall correctly, because I remember I beat that game so many times, but the
Mm,
first time I want to say it took me about a week.
it was a week for the
Yeah,
first one.
for the
Uh,
first one, because yeah, we didn't have
yeah.
walkthroughs. But we had walkthroughs, but you had to drop some money to get those guides.
Mm,
We didn't have a gaming shop in my hometown. So if I looked up and went to another city and they had a gaming book for like Resident Evil something, like I literally had to like
yeah.
go through this game blind. Like I didn't have any help. Like I had to sit there and like I know it's one area. Okay, the part in Resident Evil 1 where you acquire the shotgun.
Yep.
I didn't have any notification telling me that you cannot, keep the shotgun, because if you keep the shotgun and don't put
Hmm.
something in place of it, you're
Yep.
gonna get crushed. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So I was stuck on that area for a long time before I realized, like,
Hmm.
oh, you need to put the broken shotgun on this thing too. So
Yeah.
stuff like that you look at like, oh, that's easy, but for me back then, it was like, because I was without any type of resources, I was like, okay, Mark.
Hmm.
And this is one of the reasons why I like these games, because they make you think. They make you
Exactly.
sit there, look at
Yep.
something, be like, okay, how can I solve this puzzle? And it's one of the reasons why I like puzzles in general
Exactly.
now. So it took me about a week to finish that first game, going through all the puzzles and getting used to, the mechanics of the game and whatnot. Because again, this was something that was
Hmm.
a new experience for me, because after playing shit like Sonic the Hedgehog and
Yeah.
certain fighting games and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh, this is new. You actually have to think, what I'm
Hmm.
saying, before you get to the next damn,
Exactly.
location and stuff. And you have to remember certain the notes and stuff like that. You like people really had to read and pay attention to what they were doing
Yep.
to get through the game. And I think that's one of the reasons why I gravitate towards the series so much.
And that's the thing now, like, talking about that, like those puzzles, getting the rubies, putting them in the right
Right.
stone, turning the statue the right way so that the shadow can hit, so that it can open something up. And I think that's what we're missing in a lot
Mm.
of the games that have come, later on. We don't have as
Mm.
much. Those are being replaced by like combos to safes and everything like that. And so I'm just like, damn. So sometimes when we don't get that shit, it's kind of a letdown. But yeah,
Right.
like you said, for me, the first game, it took us a few months to beat it because we stopped, you know what
Wow.
I mean? And especially like if you fucking save it to a certain point where you don't have enough ammo, you're fucked. You got to start over from a
Boom.
certain point. And
Boom.
so that was one of the main pieces for me. But going into the second game, I had gotten that the week it came out. So it might have been like a Tuesday, I think releases were.
Hmm.
That game came out. Dude, that game was finished by the weekend. So it seemed like, so I'm like, damn, I'm so in my head, I'm always like, yo, I love part two, but part one had so much shit that had roadblocks in it that just had to get you so used to like what you were doing. Resident Evil 2, I just flew through that shit. I skated through it and I'm like, this is a double disc and I beat it
Hmm.
this fast. And I'm like, I was kind of let down by that, but
Oh, okay.
it's a great game, So that's the
Yeah.
main thing. But I would always just like, well, to me, part one is more challenging, so that's what I love about that first one.
Okay, because I'm not gonna lie, when it came down to the second game, I kind of
Hmm.
feel the same way that you did about the first one. Because like I said, I it took me a week, but this was like everybody, this is like what it was in this greatest hits
Hmm.
version. So didn't the first Resident Evil game, wasn't it also a 2 disc game at first?
No, the first one it was just a one disc.
Okay.
So I think like later on they did the director's cut and it came
Boom.
because you said you got yours that had the green sleeve on the side, right? So and it
Hmm.
was like in the CD case cover. Yeah,
Yes.
so for me, I had gotten it. It was like that big fucking bulky. Like if you go back and look
Hmm.
at it, like all the PlayStation 1 games when they first came out, they were in this
Right.
big bulky long like DVD cover, like you know what I mean, like how
Yep.
everything was. So I think that they kind of were able to incorporate a bunch of shit onto that side, and I think you probably had a director's cut for the first one.
I probably did,
Yeah.
because it was 1 disc and it was only $20, and it was just,
Hmm.
it just sucked me in. It just like sucked me all the way in, and I was obsessed with the game. And then, like I said, I got to the point where I would get bored and just ran through it for about like a good 2 or 3
Yeah.
hours, or how many hours it took to beat the game and whatnot. But I got to part two. I don't know if I said this already on here though, but when part two came out, I remember the trailer for it, because didn't George Romero direct the
The trailer.
commercial?
Yep.
Yeah. I remember when that hit, and I was like, "Oh God, I cannot wait to get that." And in our household, video games, even music CDs and shit like that, movies, you either got them on your birthday, you got them on Christmas. There wasn't
Hmm.
no,
Yeah.
we finna go buy you this game because just because, it was like, no, birthday and Christmas.
Hmm.
So I had to wait until, well, I actually didn't wait to Christmas, because my parents was just like, we don't. we're not gonna spend $60 on no damn video game. This is out.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to a thrift shop one day, and somebody had Resident Evil 2 up there, the two discs. And I was like, oh my God, $5. I gotta have this. I gotta have this. My mom was like, go ahead and get it. So I got it, rushed home, and then realized I'm like, where's the second disc? And at
Mm-hmm.
this point, I thought that you had to play um I don't know how they had it set up. I'm trying to remember if it wasn't because I know I played Leon, no, well, Claire A, Leon B,
Yep.
but I thought that you had to finish the other game because like incomplete, and so it was just confusing. But
Mm-hmm.
that was the only version of Resident Evil 2 that I ever played up until I got to college, and that was Claire A, Leon B, and it wasn't until I got to college that I could officially completed the game because I had money and I could go get my games and shit like that.
What system did
My
you complete it on though?
The PlayStation 2.
Okay, you went back and got it still.
Hmm.
Okay. Yep.
Yep, I went back and got it because when I got to college, excess money, still paying for this shit now. But anyway, I
Mm-hmm.
managed to get me a PS2 and got Resident Evil 2 and played it, completed it there. But by this time Resident Evil 3 was out
Yep.
and so was Code Veronica. So
Yep.
so I was kind of like, catching up. But Resident Evil 2, that's one I didn't really just like burn through. Like you said, you beat it in one weekend, but it was
Mm-hmm.
just one of those games that I had to like savor because it's gonna be a long time if I got another game. And you remember those PlayStation Magazine
Yep.
demo discs that
Yeah,
came
the game
out?
with the jacked like volume one and shit like that. It came with it. Yep.
Yeah, that's how I got a chance to dip into Resident Evil 3. Not trying to
Okay.
rush through 2 right quick, but it just
Yep.
I played the demo to Resident Evil 3 all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to always be like, I cannot wait to get my hands on that game. But I really did not complete that first four, not the Resident Evil 4, but Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, and Code Veronica when I got to college. Actually, no. Code Veronica I beat on the Dreamcast because my brother had a
Yeah.
Dreamcast
Yep.
and I had to do some heavy groveling to get that man to let me borrow his Dreamcast because
Yep.
he was like, look, he had to sit there, had like a caravan to come pick up the Dreamcast. And he delivered it in like a cloth and everything. And he was like, if I see one scratch on it, I'm gonna bust your ass. So I was like, look, I promise you I'm gonna have this game completed in one weekend. And he literally gave me a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all, what the kids call today grinding, I grinded that entire weekend trying to beat that Code Veronica game. Not trying to jump ahead, but I'm just saying that
Nah, yeah. Those
that was the brunt of my Resident Evil experience was until I got to college when I got a chance to just go through everything. I went back and finished 2,
mm,
played 3, but 1 and 2 were the only ones that I had throughout high school. But
mm.
so
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like once you're a Resident Evil fan, it's like the order that you complete these games in are not gonna be like right away all the time. It's like
hmm
it's so spaced out. Like even for me, part three, you know what I mean? When Nemesis came out, um, I was kind of looking at it and I remember I had rented it and I had like tested it out, fucked around with it. I'm just like, this ain't hitting the same for me as like other ones.
for real.
Yeah, Nemesis didn't hit the same for me when it came out. And so I was just like, you know what I mean? So I kind of just let that sit for like a few
Mm.
years and I went back and I was like, all right, let me fuck with this game and completed it. And I was just like, all right, like it was cool. It was a good game, but like to me, like the whole Nemesis battle thing before between him and like it didn't do this shit for me. Like I said, like just those regular zombies from the first one and the second one. And then the third one, but I don't know, like when he was just busting through the walls and shit, and just going like,
Unannounced. So
yeah,
disrespectful. So
mm,
disrespectful. But was he as worse as Mr. X or from Resident Evil 2?
mm,
What is that what his name was? The guy who
yeah,
just
Mr. X, the big guy with the hat,
yeah, because
yeah,
that motherfucker, I was like, that was a ruthless ass motherfucker right there, Mr. X. I was like,
mm-hmm,
I don't get why, but why is he around here playing with me? Like, I cannot wait till we get into the Resident Evil 2 remake though. But
yeah, that's what it is. And so, yeah, when you had him added into that, that was like kind of crazy. But what was your feeling on Nemesis though when you played that? Did you complete it?
I completed it when I got to college.
Hmm.
Actually, I don't think I was good. I think I actually did what you did was actually rent it and played it that way. But had to accrue those late fees and shit.
Yeah.
But it was okay. But it's kind of like what you said. I'll be honest with you. Between those games and 1, 2, 3 and Code Veronica, I barely remember much out of Nemesis because it was one of those games where, like I said, I rented it and played it,
Yep.
and then I just sent it back. I never really owned it. It wasn't until I got to college that I actually owned it. I just bought it because it was like used and stuff like that. But I never went
Yeah.
back in there to just play it again. Just like
Hmm.
I just want to know where the story is. I know that this takes place before and after Resident Evil 2 or during Resident Evil 2 or some shit like that. I don't know, but like you said, it didn't carry as the heavy weight, especially when you got somebody like Jill, which was a letdown
Yeah.
because you know it was just okay. It's a game. But it's not as
Hmm.
bad as some of the. I always tell people the first four games. I mean, I say first four. I mean, Code Veronica. I'm not talking about Resident Evil 4.
Hmm.
Those were my favorite ones. Then we got part four, which kind of just like,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, because
but go ahead.
no, you're good. But that's the thing. Like you said, you brought up Veronica that released in 2002. I mean, that was 2000 actually. Um, like you
Hey,
said earlier, you brought that up about Dreamcast. So here's my main thing with that. I had gotten it on the Dreamcast, and at that point in time, I'm thinking at the same time, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be sick. I'm getting Resident Evil on Dreamcast. I played on there, and it just doesn't feel the same because the controller. I'm used to
right,
playing PlayStation Resident Evil games. And so I'm
right.
playing with this big fucking Buzz Lightyear controller for the Dreamcast. And I'm just like, this just isn't hitting for me. You got it's weird.
Yeah, you're
It's like
right. Yeah.
it's so I'm like so that was something that pushed me away from Veronica.
I think they did with a lot of people. See, that's when they really started. I don't know if it's just the consoles doing this shit or just like, because I
Mm,
remember they announced Code Veronica. Excuse me, they were like Dreamcast. I'm like, I don't have a fucking Dreamcast. Like, why the fuck would y'all do that? And I know I'm not gonna get one. And
yep.
my brother was like, kept teasing me because he had the Dreamcast. He was like,
Mm.
"Oh, you're not gonna be able to play Resident Evil Code Veronica. I have the Dreamcast." And we used to always play Crazy Taxi together on the
Yep.
Dreamcast. That's how
Yeah,
we bonded and
Dreamcast. Yep.
shit.
Hmm.
But I was like, I sat there, asked that man, "Hey, can I borrow your Dreamcast?" He said, "Excuse me."
Excuse me, what? What'd
He
you
just
say? Say it in
what you say?
my good air
What
right here.
did you say you want to borrow my Dreamcast? Are you
Oh,
crazy?
so
Did you
other shit.
Yeah, he was like, I sat there like, I mean, I put on the ball. I mean, it takes a lot for this man to cave, but I put on the damn puppy dog tears. It's like, yo, you know how I feel about Resident Evil, man. You know you gotta let me borrow this. He was like, look, I give you one weekend. And I swear to God, Sunday evening at about 6 or 7 o'clock that evening, his ass was knocking on my door where my damn system at. I'm
Hmm.
like, Darian, give me just another hour. I'm not doing this boss battle. He was like, okay, I'll sit here and watch you play this boss battle. And I finally beat it. I don't think he got through the credits quick enough. He sat there, got the wrapping up shit, like, okay, you beat the
Hmm.
game. But I actually kept going back to Code Veronica though, because I like a lot of people hate that game, but I actually one of the few that actually liked it because I liked the gameplay. But like you said, playing it on the Dreamcast was weird. I was
Yeah.
so glad they finally ported it to the PlayStation,
Yep.
and it made it a more it felt right. When I
Yeah.
played on the PlayStation, it felt right.
Hmm.
It's because I don't think a Resident Evil has Resident Evil been on the. Yes, it finally went to the Xbox though, but
Yeah, they just don't feel the same, you
it
know?
doesn't. It
And so
doesn't.
and that's the thing, you get those ports and then you're just like, all right, like you said, when they put it on PlayStation, now you feel comfortable. Now you're going back and you're completing it and you're just like, all right, now this felt right. Like sometimes it just doesn't feel right when it's on other systems. And that's something that this next game also did for me, which was in 2002, we got the Resident Evil 1 remake and we got the Resident Evil
Mm.
0 on GameCube. And so when GameCube came out, GameCube was all right, it was cool, but it was like that controller's wonky, and I'm just like, I can't fuck with this controller. And so it pushed me away from Zero, you know what I mean? And so I didn't complete
Hmm.
Zero until like years later when I'm like, I got my retro system back of my GameCube and set it up, and I'm just like, let me go. Like, you know what I mean? It was just like, all right,
Hmm.
cool. But I couldn't respect that controller at the time of playing a Resident Evil game. Like, this isn't like you're playing Smash Brothers or Mario Sunshine or something like that. This is Resident Evil.
Right.
So,
Now, I've never touched a dream. I'm not a GameCube in my life.
mm,
I'm 42 years old. I had roommates and friends that had GameCubes. I remember we was in college when the Resident Evil 1 remake came out,
mm.
and my roommate was playing it. And I didn't recognize it at first. And I realized he went to a certain area. I'm like, "Are you playing the remake?" He was like, "Oh, yeah." And I'm like, so I sat there, watched him play it, and it gave you new shit. He was like,
Mm-hmm.
I said, "What the fuck is that?" He was like, "Oh, yeah, that's a new mechanic they put in the game." And
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to ask this man, can I borrow his? But we all in the same apartment. So, but at the same time, I was like, nah, because again, I was looking at the controller and I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to play it though, but that controller it's not
Yeah.
hitting for me. And so I had to, then it came out with zero, like you said. And I'm like, I would love to know what happened with Rebecca Chambers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So the GameCube, I didn't touch a GameCube ever. My roommate had one, like I said, and I wasn't trying to get one. I was only looking at the PlayStation and the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get a chance to play the remakes in Zero while I was in college. But I'm gonna tell you when I actually got a chance to play the remake personally, because my one of my closest friends told me that it was available on. This is when we got the PlayStation 4. Um, and he was like, "Oh, the remake is on here for like $5," and
Mm.
he was playing it, and I didn't know what he was playing because he was in an area that was not included in the original game, and I was like, "What are you playing?" He was like, "Resident Evil." I told you it's $5. I'm like, "This is not Resident Evil. This was not in the original game." He said, "It's the remake, dumbass." I'm like,
Mm.
"Oh." So I watched them play it. This is when they went outside, and it was an offshoot out. I think it was that cabin he went in where you
Mm.
find, I think, somebody's daughter or something like that, and she's this
Okay.
monster or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, so I went immediately on my phone and downloaded Resident Evil 1, the remake, and then I played it. Um, Talk about getting your ass beat because again, you think you know
Mm-hmm.
what you're expecting when you play this remake. Because again, me watching somebody else play it for like 5 minutes a piece was like nothing compared to you actually playing it yourself. And that took me actually 2 months to beat because work one thing, and then two is because I wanted to make sure that I covered every all bases. Because
Mm-hmm.
we're now in the era of Easter eggs and secret locations and shit like this. So I made sure to go through every piece of the game. But one little quick thing. I kept trying to figure out, like, you know, playing Resident Evil 1 through Code Veronica. Once you shoot something, that motherfucker will melt away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the zombie will melt away, or the creature will be gone by the time you get back. If it was still there, there's something wrong with it. Something's up with it. And my ass was not picking up on this when I was playing the remake of Resident Evil because I'm like, okay, this zombie's dropped. The other one disappeared, but this one's still here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they telling me I need this lighter and this gas and this lighter fluid. What am I supposed to do with this? So the first zombie that came jumped up and ran after my ass and just beat the hell out of me. I was like, what the fuck? So I kept getting killed because I'm like, he's not going down. And then because I'm thinking that the lighter fluid, Brandon, was for you had to light. Because again, I'm thinking like, okay, this is a whole new ball game.
Mm-hmm.
You might got to use this lighter fluid to light up a fireplace or something. And then I'm sitting there talking to my friend on FaceTime as we're both gaming. He's playing one game, I'm playing Resident Evil remake. And so I'm sitting there, zombie come after me again. I'm like, almost out of line. He said, "Mark, what are you doing?" Because he's watching my game and playing his game. I'm like, I'm trying to. He said, Mark, you're supposed to put the lighter fluid on the damn zombies and then burn them so they won't come after you again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was like, I done lost so much ammo fucking with these damn things. He
Mm-hmm.
was like, you did not Google that? I said, no, because that's the thing. I like to figure these things out of my own file. Go and Google them.
Exactly.
Back then, I didn't have Google in my, in my, reach, and I can sit there and just go look it up. I mean, don't get me wrong. I did put in like, you go to the grocery store and put in write down game codes in your hand from the books and stuff because your mom's not gonna buy $10 for no damn magazine. So
Ah,
you get to sit
shit.
there writing your hand the
Yeah.
game code to get the infinite ammo and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
outside of that, I didn't know that. So I really enjoyed what they did with their remake of the original one because it added more layers to the game and it
Mm-hmm.
made it more plausible, like why Barry did the shit that he did,
Yeah.
his motive and stuff, why he kind of like betrayed the team and then all the stuff with Wesker and everything. And I was like, okay, this is great. Now, Resident Evil Zero, can we talk about how janky that game is, the controls that game
It's
is?
it's weird. It's weird because that's what I said. Like the whole setup for Nintendo was just it was off. You know what I mean?
Right.
So playing it like that, I think even people will go back and say it, like you're saying it too, it's janky. It just was never fixed a certain way. You know what I mean? I think that did you play it on PlayStation 2 or like PlayStation 4 or something? No,
I
it was
got it on
4.
the
I think it was
Switch.
4 or something. It was 6. Yeah.
I didn't wait to buy the game until it came on the Switch, and I bought it on the Switch, and I
Yeah.
tried to play it on the actually no the PlayStation 4 and the Switch, and I
Mm.
haven't gotten far. I probably haven't broken to the second half of the game yet to this
Yeah.
day.
It's one of those hard games to sit there and trying to keep pushing forward because you're in that moment. You're not liking how it's the movement, the switching the partners is just like
Mm.
it's not, you know what I mean? Because we're so used to like, hey, we'll just switch the disc, and now with this other person, and then how the stories combine. So it's always been a weird game, but I think that for real fans and everything like that, they appreciate it, but they're not gonna say it's like in their top, the top four out of the system or top three. So,
Right.
you know,
I think I was stuck on the train, which is I thought the whole thing was supposed to take place on the train.
hmm
That was my inkling because they kept talking about this, it's Resident Evil on the train. I'm like, okay, so there's only like four sections of this train, so we're just going back and forth in circles. And so I was on the train for about a week until I realized they were saying you got to get to this area, and I'm like, what area? And I'm coming like in this corner. I'm like, and it took me a
hmm
whole week, Brand, to realize that you're supposed to go up on top of the train to get to
train
the
to,
other part.
yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's when that guy comes out. You have to fix the wiring and everything. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a weird situation, but it's definitely worth going back to check out. Like you said, you played on the Switch. I
hmm
think that was a little bit better. Definitely if you're playing it with like, like the Pro controller or something like that. But,
hmm
I was gonna sit there and ask you too, because you like we were talking about the remakes, how do you feel about how they incorporated all the newer remakes, like you said, adding stuff in? How do you appreciate it? Like switching chapters, switching the story around. How do you feel about that?
I like it because it's kind of like when you do an adaptation of a book
Mm-hmm.
and you're wondering like, well, how are they going to keep the fans of the book or the video game on their toes and not expect certain things to go down. And I feel like Resident Evil 1 did it amazingly.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting to get my ass whooped in Resident Evil 2 remake. I'm For the first time in public, I'm gonna tell y'all I've still not beat that game.
Two?
2 remake.
Okay.
That shit has beat my ass.
Yep.
And what you said earlier about how you save the game and you save it apart, but you don't have enough ammo,
Mm-hmm.
and because you thinking to yourself like, I have all the most, I have a lot of the hard artillery with me going into this final battle. I should be good. Now for the Resident Evil 2 remake, I did go on Google because I'm stuck on the last boss, and that is on the
Yeah.
tram going down. And I've been stuck on this since the game came out. Like it's been a minute since Resident Evil 2 remake came out. I'm stuck because no matter what I throw at this damn boss, he still shakes it off.
Yep.
And they tell you at a at a certain time to do something, and I've done everything under the sun at this particular moment, and this boss still shakes the shit off, and he whoops my ass. And so, but I like that because Resident Evil 2. I'm gonna tell you what did it for me. Resident Evil 2 remake. Mr. X was running after my ass, and I'm like, oh, I know it's a save room upstairs. Ran my ass that save room, like, okay, good. Boosh! I'm like, oh God, he's still. I kept running because you know back in the day, Brandon, you knew that once you
Yep.
get to the save room, you were cool. You could catch your
Yeah.
breath, grab a soda, get your nerves together. But that motherfucker busted that damn save room. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. I'm like, wait, they can jump in here now. And so, boy, I was like, Bert in Tremors too. It's a whole new ball game. It's a
Oh
whole new
yeah.
ball game. God, like it's like,
Yep.
oh God. I was like, shit. So yeah, dude, it kept me on my toes, dog. It really did keep me on my toes. And you really have to learn, even on
Hmm.
just a normal setting. I'm not one of them crazy motherfuckers that sit there and like, oh, I want all the smoke. I'm gonna go to the the extreme level. Like, no, no, no.
Yeah.
I even on normal level,
Hmm.
you have to be very conscious about what you use, especially go through certain areas where certain things people always tell you you don't have to shoot everything that comes at you.
Yeah.
My motto is, look, if it's still walking around, it may be here and I get come back through here because you might got to come back through this area and you want to have everything clear so you won't have any surprises and stuff like that. So I like to
Exactly.
knock everything out, but some people will be like, "Oh no, I'm not gonna kill this thing right now. I'm gonna conserve ammo or I'm gonna be a badass and take it down with my knife." Like, nah, nah, I don't play them
Yeah.
type of games.
I
So
don't play those type of,
I
but
don't
that's the
play.
thing. I think that anybody that's playing on like extreme modes or anything like that, they're coming through with the rocket launchers with unlimited ammo and shit or everything like that. I think like it's going to
But
be a
you,
challenging
but you,
game no matter what.
but you have to beat. Don't you have to like unlock all of those first though? Because some people I
Yeah.
know go into stream mode with
Oh,
no
that's what I'm
with.
saying. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
After, what I mean, completing the games and then going back and then doing that shit.
Oh,
So,
okay,
you know
okay,
what I
okay.
mean? But
Yeah,
yeah, it's definitely a challenging game. Like you said, over the years, it's, incorporated so many more impactful, scared, jump scare moments and everything like that. But I think they kind of focus on those things a little bit more. And then, like, like we said, they got away from a lot of the puzzles. You know what I mean? And so that's
yeah,
like something I wish that they would focus on a little bit more. But, going into this next game, is Resident Evil 4. You know what I mean? My experience with that also rubbed me the wrong way because this was a GameCube exclusive. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So like when you're on top of the games, like you said, I think you were behind, and so like you were okay with that. And so when this came out, part four, right, going
Hmm.
in a new system, I'm like, all right, I guess I'm gonna have to try this. So this is
Right,
2005.
right.
And so then you get the game and then now you're in it and you're just like, yo, what is this? This is not a zombie.
It's
It- it-
not.
This is not a zombie. And
It's
so
not.
it rubbed me the wrong way. Like these guys are like under a trance, you know what I mean? Like they're being mind controlled and everything. And it's just like the dude with the chainsaw. And I'm
Ooh,
just like, I'm not feeling this game. I'm not feeling this
yeah.
game. I'm not feeling the experience. And for years, people would always tell me, like, what are you talking about? This is the best one ever. And I'm just like, dude, no, the fuck is not. And I would argue with people about how, like, part one and part two were better than part four. And I'm just like, man,
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to hear anything you got to say about part four. Part four is complete trash, right? So
Okay.
I never completed the game until the remake came out.
Okay.
So I got the remake and I played it on PS4 and PS5.
Okay.
And so I'm like, but I didn't, the thing was, I didn't go back until beat that until I skipped ahead and did part seven and then
Okay.
Village. So
Okay.
even Village, I got that same feeling because I'm like, oh shit, it's like the same, it's like part four.
Right.
I'm like, what are we doing here? But I enjoyed Village. And so then when I beat Village, I went back to four and got the
Oh,
remake and was like, I appreciated four more.
right.
from playing Village.
Okay.
And then so I completed that. And so, like we said, with the different take on the remakes being completely different, I had gone back and played part four after I beat it on the PlayStation. I played it on the Switch.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right,
right.
I'm gonna go back and play the original game that they got ported over that was on the GameCube, but now I'm gonna play it on Nintendo and then play it how it was created. And I'm
Hmm.
like, shit, you know what? I'm not even gonna lie. Part four is a great game. It's a great game.
It's a great game, but I'm kind of like what you were saying originally because I came across Part Four when it ported over to the PlayStation
Mm-hmm.
2. I had a cousin that had passed away, and I had just got this game. And when he had passed away, I kind of like got lost in this game to cope.
Yeah.
So this is one of those games I beat within 1 weekend because I was just that upset. And I initially started the game probably like earlier that week, but it was just like, you play it, go to
Mm-hmm.
class, do your homework and stuff like that. But then he passed, and I just got locked in the game because I was like, I don't want to go anywhere else. I don't want to do anything. I just want to focus on this game. And I went through it the entire weekend. But it was different. Like the whole thing, I forget what they called that particular virus. I don't know if it was the G virus or
Yeah.
something, but I didn't like those damn when you shoot the head
Yeah, and then like
and then the
split it up.
and
Yeah.
all this stuff. It reminded me of Night of the Creeps. I'm like, oh god, I gotta sit here and worry about this damn thing and stuff like that. I remember that guy, the roommate I told you about, who had the GameCube. He had Resident Evil, the remake, and
Mm-hmm.
Zero, and we got Resident Evil 4. He actually got the chainsaw controller,
Oh, okay, cool.
and he would play with the chainsaw controller for 4. And then I had to sit there. I had to sit there. I went and got Resident Evil 4. Like I said, I also got a Resident Evil game that is really not talked about much, but I've noticed it's gotten a lot of press because the
Mm-hmm.
main character of Resident Evil 9's mom was in this game, and that is Resident Evil Outbreak File number 1, I believe.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoyed the game a lot. I found myself playing that more than Resident Evil 4. Now I don't know I don't know which one came out more, but I do know I got Resident Evil Outbreak because I like the mechanics. You have, for those who are not aware, you had 6 different scenarios to play through, and you will pick a particular character because you had 6 characters, 6 different scenarios to get out of. Pretty much you're in Raccoon City, and all 6 of these different characters start off at a particular location, and you have to find your way out of. You're not what you call it. You're not a stars member.
Mm-hmm.
You might be a rat. I know one was a Raccoon City police officer. One was a college student. One was a reporter, and that is the mother of the character that's
That's
going to
in
be the lead
Requiem.
in Requiem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you just had to get out these scenarios, and it was geared towards the multiplayer,
Yeah.
gamers.
Mm-hmm.
But me being, I can say I'm anti multiplayer, but I was at that point in time mentally thinking, hey, Resident Evil is a game that you need to play by yourself. You don't need to
Yep.
have a group of people trying to figure out how to get out of this, because for me, I was just being greedy because I want to solve the puzzles.
Yep.
I want to I want to figure this game out and read the notes and all this shit and everything like that. But because you play with somebody else, and God knows that they were really skilled at Resident Evil, they were just trying to kill
Mm-hmm.
time. One person might be trying to do something and they could get the whole team to kill. But I played Resident Evil File Outbreak File number 1. They did come out with a file number 2, and I didn't get a chance
Yeah.
to play that one. I never even bought that one, but those were most of the Resident Evil games I played when I was in college. And so during college, I beat 2. I mean, what's it?
Outbreak too. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Leon A, Claire B.
Mm-hmm.
Finally beat that. Did I, got a chance to play Code Veronica on the PlayStation. did not play Resident Evil 1 remake or 0, played 4, and I think this is when 5 was getting ready to come out, and I think this is when the exclusivity on the Resident Evil lapsed, and then you got Resident Evil 5 on Xbox. So that's,
Xbox. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, see, that
that's
was the
what.
main thing. It was like, because, like, looking back at it, I'm like, why are these games being Nintendo exclusives? You know what I mean? And so
Right.
at those times, like, we're kids. You know what I mean? Like, we're just sitting there worried about, like, why isn't it on the system? But I guess, like, Sony didn't want to give them the contract that they were supposed to get, so it had to deal with money. So it was
Mhm.
just like, all right, cool, whatever. Nintendo gave them the money. And so now looking back at that, I'm like, all right, I respect the business move. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? If Sony's gonna start acting funny, and then so now we see this game on all platforms, and so like you said earlier, you're like trying to play them on different like systems, it doesn't feel right. So like even with the remake of 2, I had gotten it from the Xbox, and then it just didn't feel right, and I'm like, all right,
Mhm.
when got it back on the PS4, and completed it on 5. But yeah, like you said, part 5, we jump into that. That was the first one with co-op. And so it
Yeah.
was cool because at that time, Xbox Live was jumping, you know what I mean? And so I'm just like, all right, cool. So now I'm sitting there playing Resident Evil with one of my buddies. But the
Mhm.
main thing about that is like like you said, you rather just play by yourself, do your shit, and kind of like solve the puzzles. I got into a point where me and my buddy, like, we were just like clockwork. All right, log in. What's going on? Boom, boom,
Right.
boom. Getting to a certain point. And dude, like, I want to say we made it to that last chapter right before like you complete the game. And I'm sitting there just like, all right, dude. And he became busy. You know what I mean? I'm just sitting there like stuck. I'm like, this motherfucker, man. Like, I'm on this motherfucker's time. I'm like, I want to complete this fucking game, but I don't want to
Right.
sit there and jump in and complete it without him because we were on this mission together. And then so it just got to the point where it was just like, all right, bro, like I gotta beat this with somebody else. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I pulled somebody in that didn't even play the games. I'm like, you just do this. You gotta if I go down, you you know what I mean? You
You
gotta
do
help
this.
me. That's
Yes.
all you gotta do. And then so it came to that. But yeah, like co-op is definitely hard. And so now, like you said, when you brought out Outbreak, going back to those days, it's just like, what I mean? Like it's hard to depend on somebody to like finish these chapters with you.
Exactly, especially somebody that loves the franchise and
Hmm.
loves doing all this stuff. You can sit there and be like, "Yo, I just read this note, or I just read this file. This said this, this, and this," and you put your heads together and be like, "Okay, so this must be X, Y, and Z." Then you go, take out whatever can be taken out, or
Hmm.
solve whatever puzzle to be solved. But yeah, I was just selfish as hell. But Resident Evil 5, I was excited about that. I think that was the first Resident Evil game that I pre-ordered.
No, okay.
Because you had your first black female lead character with
Yeah.
Shiva. And
Yep.
what's her name? Shiva? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And I had got the gold edition.
Hmm.
So I was so excited. So I finally got, I remember driving to GameStop to get that game, picking it up, coming home, jumping into it. And Resident Evil 5 had a lot of controversy behind it leading up
It
to
did.
it.
It
You
did.
know, I had a friend who's a huge gamer, and he actually asked a lot of people. He's a Resident Evil fan too. This is why I had to chastise him a little bit, because I was like, he posted, "What's about this discourse behind Resident Evil 5? Like, I don't remember that." I like, where the fuck were you at when this shit was going down? Because I remember seeing
Hmm.
like there were articles talking about like, how this is just atrocity towards, black people, and you just shoot up black people at the entire game.
Yep.
And this is before the game came out. When I finally got the game in my hands, because again, we had, I think what's the name of the channel? G4 TV was actually
Okay.
still out, and they were
Yeah.
talking about the game, but I didn't really pay no attention to them because I was one of those, like, I'm not gonna say blindly follow Capcom stands or Resident Evil, rather really Resident Evil stand.
Hmm.
I had to see it for myself. So I sat there and got to play Resident Evil 5, and I was like, oh, so Shiva is just a glorified walking what you call it? What you call it? What's the thing it's called? Save chest. What they call the chest you put all your stuff in?
Fucking. I don't even.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about, like the chest you found in your
Oh,
save rules. I was like, she's just a glorified person you can sit there and switch ammo with and stuff like that. She'll shoot,
okay, okay.
but I'm like, she can shoot, but it's like you can't control her really. You only
Hmm.
jump in to control her to shoot something off, and then you lose. I'm like, I didn't like that. I want to sit there. I think when I saw Chris and she, I was like, okay, I'm gonna play on Chris. You know, pretty much back to like Resident Evil 2.
Yeah,
That's what I thought we are going back to. Like, you know, you play a Chris version of the game, then you play Shiva's version of blah blah blah. No, it was just
yeah,
she gave me a caddy. She was like a Resident Evil caddy. You
yeah.
know,
Because it's like, oh, here, take this. Oh, hey,
yeah,
oh,
take the
reload. And like you, like,
reload,
yeah,
reload. Yeah, I'm like, how dare you? But and I can't remember. I do remember beating that game, but I was remember beating it. It was like,
yeah.
this is
It wasn't anything crazy. But see, I didn't have that experience because, like I said, I played that game co-op only, so I didn't play like really
oh
by myself. So that experience, like, even still, I had gotten it for five, and I just put it on just to kind of fuck with it, but I never went too deep into it to realize like, oh, you can't really use her as much, you know?
right.
So like for me, it was like, all right, cool. Like when you're playing co-op, you control her, you know what I mean? But like you said, yeah, oh, reload, reload, doing all that shit.
Reload.
So that shit's crazy. But yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely did have so much shit behind it when it came out. But you know, it just was one of those things where it was like we said, the co-op was something that was like the main piece, and you know, hey, it's the story. It lacks. It's not all there. It's a game. It's a
It's a
game though.
game.
It's a
It's a
game though.
game. Exactly. It was a game, man.
Hmm.
I
And then
can't remember much from it. I haven't revisited the game in
yeah,
a
I just
long
remember
time.
the last level, like you know what I mean, like finally going back and like doing it because it's like you know Wesker, you're in that fire pit and everything. And so it's just like, all right, like it's just all
Mm.
around everywhere. So it was just like you said, it's a game.
It's a
But then
game.
we got Resident Evil 6 in 2012, and that was another game that was just like, yo, what the fuck is this?
I'm so glad you feel the same way, but go ahead.
Because I had played it, and I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, where are we going? Like, you know what
Where
I
are we
mean?
going?
Where are we
Right.
going with this? This is more of like an action-packed game. Like, you gotta time shit. And I'm just like, you know what? I didn't finish it. I threw it to the side and was just like, whatever.
Okay, you too. Okay, good. Okay, I feel good about that because I remember I know because I was excited for six. I was one of those at this point in time, I was like, I ain't gotta own it. You know, I'll be
Mm,
okay with just, renting it.
yeah,
And I got it from the Red Box, when Red Box was still a thing, and got it and started playing it. I said, okay, it felt like they're trying to appease to all the fans of
mm-hmm,
they're trying to appease the fans of the original game, fans to four and five, and maybe fans to whatever other fan. I don't know, maybe Call of Duty fans. I don't know.
yeah,
But I just remember playing like the first, I guess the Outbreak,
yep,
you know, and so I played the Outbreak and I was like, okay, this is okay. But then you jump to the next chapter, you playing two other characters and they somewhere else, and I'm like, it's like, okay, so now you're not doing survival horror. Now you're back into action,
yeah,
with all the crazy mechanics and shit. I'm like, I'm gonna tell you what happened with that game because I didn't finish it either. I called myself sending it back to Redbox, thinking that I
mm-hmm,
did. I think one of I don't know how it happened, Brandon, but all I remember is I got charged for that game.
mm.
Full charged.
Oh shit.
So I think I sent it back to Redbox. When I got through trying to play it, and I was like, oh shit, take it back to Redbox. I think 7 days it went by.
Mm.
And so I took it back to Redbox and they slid it to the thing and shot it back out and said, oh no, you own this game now.
Oh
I was like,
shit.
I did not want this piece of shit ass game. And so my cousin came over and he was like, oh, you still got Resident Evil 6? I said, you can have that motherfucker. He was like, for real? I'm like, yeah, because they made me pay for it. I'm like, I didn't ask for this. At least send me the goddamn cover, the case to go in it, but
Mm-hmm.
I have not played that game since. Now, I will tell you that I did buy it it was on sale to one of those Capcom
Mm-hmm.
It does. I bought it, but it just sit about Switch right now. Just like if I get bored, I might play it.
But that's the thing. So that's what I was getting ready to say to you. I shitted on it when I played it on the other system when it first released, but playing that shit on the Switch changes everything because now
Really?
you're playing the game, you're playing handheld. It's an action game. So I like the experience on the Switch rather than having it on the console and playing on a TV because it's like,
Okay.
okay, so it's a different experience because I'm like, all right, I respect the Switch version of this more than the original because now
Ooh.
it's like I think this is how the game was supposed to be played. I think it's more of like a handheld type game where it's like
Mm.
you don't expect so much from it being on a gaming console like that's hooked up to your TV. So
Okay.
that's why when I think we were talking about it because I had, like you said, the sale. I'm like, I went back, I
Yes.
bought four, five, six, all on the Switch, and I'm just like, all right, this shit definitely runs smooth, and it's a better gameplay. So yeah, man, I think that's definitely something that you need to check out. If you have it, definitely try to play it on that because it changes the whole game experience.
I do, and I believe
Mm-hmm.
not just believe. I mean, I not just believe and respect. I understand what you're saying because there was, remember, I don't know what system they did it on. I don't know they did the whole, because they have another Resident Evil game called Resident Evil Revelations.
Revelations. Yep.
And I think I played it on the PlayStation or the Xbox. I can't remember which one it was, but it was
Mm-hmm.
released in chapters.
Yep.
I think I played this. No, I didn't play the original. What I did was I got a hold of Resident Evil Revelations 2 and
Okay.
I played the first 3 or 4 chapters of that. And those chapters you go between playing with Claire
And
and
like Barry's
Barry's
daughter.
daughter,
Yep.
right? And then Barry and his little girl.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I managed to I played the chapter I got stuck on. And it's funny because I got stuck on it on the Xbox or PlayStation, and now that I have it on the Switch, I'm stuck on this same chapter. This is the one where
Mm-hmm.
Barry is with the little girl, and they get attacked with the guy with the goddamn big ass
Yep.
Gatling. Well, I don't know what the fuck he got, but I'm still stuck on the other Switch. But I went back and played Resident Evil Revelations.
Yeah.
I bought that entire game. This is on a cruise ship
Yep.
somewhere.
Yep.
I actually enjoyed it. And it reminded me when you was talking about a few seconds ago about how the Resident Evil 6 plays better on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Resident Evil Revelations plays better on the Switch as well.
You want to know why?
Why is that?
Because Revelations came out on the 3DS. It was a DS game.
Oh,
So I have the 3DS and I was playing Revelations on the DS. So I have it on my 3DS and I'm sitting there like shit. Like they got the controls and everything down for on a Nintendo 3DS game. Like that's not bad. Like the whole
right.
gameplay. So I played that first on 3DS, and then I had gotten the Switch port. So that's why I'm saying, like, around that time when I was playing Revelations on the Switch and everything in the 3DS, I was fucking around with part six, and I'm like, all right, I feel what they were trying to do, but that's not a gaming console game. That's more of a handheld.
Mm.
So now that feeling that they incorporated all those games and what they were doing over the years together makes you go back and you appreciate it more. And that was the main thing, Revelations and Outbreak and all those other games, the side games they had, like they had Survivor back in when
I
Code
remember
Veronica came out.
them.
It's a light gun game. So now you're just going back and being creative, like what can we do next? And then so I think we had to go through those ports and all those pieces to kind of get where we are now with part seven. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like when seven came out, when Biohazard came out, it gave you that respect of like, all right, they're going back to everything else that they needed to do. And so I can't really complain because part seven was just fucking crazy. They incorporated the VR part to it. I try to fuck around with the VR. I'm just sitting there just I can't fuck with this shit. When I got to one of those boss battles, I was like, ah, man, I had to give that game a break, but then I went back and completed it without the VR. So, because I tried to I was like, I gotta complete it in VR. And I'm like, I can't beat this in VR.
Yeah, you a trooper. My friend, the one who was watching, who played the Resident Evil remake, was told me how to kill the zombie. He said he tried the VR
Hmm.
for Resident Evil, 7, Biohazard 7, and he knocked over one of his husband's vases, and he was like, yeah, let me take this shit off right quick. I get my ass kicked because I was like, because I didn't get the game when it first came out. I waited
Hmm.
until like a year, and I think they came out with those two uh DLCs.
Yeah.
Brandon, when I got to play Resident Evil 7, I was like, this motherfucker's franchise is back now. This
Yeah.
motherfucker is back.
Yep.
It was a long time since I've been scared by a Resident Evil game. Resident Evil 7 was a return to form, and I tell you, I was obsessed that entire weekend. I actually beat that game one weekend
Okay.
because I had to know what was going to happen next. It was like, well, when you play in a game and you go to sleep and you toss and turn because you want to get back to it, but you know
Hmm.
you need that damn sleep, so you go to work the next morning.
Yep.
But you can't think about sleep because you want to get back on that game. And so, luckily, it was the weekend, and I sat there and beat that game. And then I had a little change on me that weekend, so I went ahead and downloaded the DLCs to both of them, to both the DLCs, because I was just obsessed with it. And so, yeah, I think that was, excuse me, I think Resident Evil 7, even though it's a different mechanic, it's just different mechanics in it, but at the same time, the fear has returned and the creepiness of like playing the game and just be like just trying to figure out how to get out the situation with this little piece of weapons that you have. And I don't know, it made you be resourceful. Let's just say it like that. It really made you be resourceful how you maneuver yourself through the game, and you had to be careful. Like you could
Hmm.
have nobody interrupting you, but you focus on that shit. You be like tunnel vision focused. Like, okay, I gotta make sure that.
Yep.
And the wonderful thing about it is when you think you're still in control of the game, and the game is yanked from you, and then all of a sudden you, because I remember I thought I was walking, and all of a sudden the game just the screen went left, and this person sitting to me like, "Eee!" I'm
Yeah,
like,
he's
"What
on your
the
face.
fuck?"
But that's what I'm saying. Imagine playing that with the VR. I'm sitting there just
Yeah,
like, oh, fuck, whoa, 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 take that
that's
shit
why.
off.
That's why I was like, "You did that?" Like, shh,
I
y'all
got,
bold.
I made it all the way to that boss battle. The dude when you're fighting in like the garage, the car, not
Yes.
nah, yeah, when you had to get the chainsaws and shit. I'm like, man, I can't fuck with this shit on the VR, man. But
No, somebody might
yeah,
get their ass hit.
yeah. So I had to sit there and take that shit off and kind of get to complete the game. But
Mhm.
you know, what I mean, like. I think we're gonna end it here on this part. We're gonna do a part two to this so that we can sit there and go into more of part seven and then talk about Village and then also talk about some of the new stuff that's coming in 2026 with Requiem. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we there's so much to unpack. But you know, I mean, for everybody that's tuning in, like Mark, thanks for coming on.
Right.
Let everybody know where they can find you.
Oh, you guys can find me on Marco Estes on Instagram and Midnight Social Distortion on Instagram. Also, you guys can find me on Threads, Marco Estes, Blue Sky, Marco Estes, MSD. Also, check out my letterbox, Marco Estes, and you can also
Hmm.
find me as a co-host on Scream Kings. That is Kings with a Z, not an S. And my newest article for the Queer Horror Blurred uh column for Horror Press will be out sometime soon. And of course, check me out on my podcast, Midnight Social Distortion. But until then, you guys can find me in the static.
All right. Like we said, everybody, we're gonna sit there and we're definitely gonna jump back on and continue part two of this because there's so much to unpack. There's so many other
Yes.
games. Like I was even gonna sit there and say there's other games, other movies and shit that we could sit there and talk about. But like we said, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy and keep
Peace.
gaming.
Yeah, peace.
Takes a lot of love for a person to do